Hey guys, it's Jen. We are making lasagna for dinner and I thought I would show you how we make it. It is super easy. I always thought I couldn't make lasagna and then my mother-in-law shared her recipe and it's really simple. So we don't eat a lot of meat, so we have cooked wheat berries in here and we just cook ours in a little crock pot. I can do a video talking about our wheat berries if you want. So we have about 2 cups of wheat berries in here. If you were doing meat, like ground beef, I think it's like 3/4 pound. I will, when I list the recipe in the description box, I will put what you could do for meat if you don't want to do wheat berries. And I suppose you could do lentils too, but we like our wheat berries. So these have been soaked and cooked, and we are going to use a jar and a half basically. Well, that's a can, but and I'll put all the amounts below. There's no way I'm going to remember them all off the top of my head, but we do a can and a half because that's just what it calls for. And I didn't have the same kinds. I just had different kinds left, so we're doing a whole can of the chunky Italian garden, and then we're doing a half a can of the 4 cheese because 4 cheese goes with everything. So we just add that in with our wheat berries. And I'm just gonna eyeball half a can. This recipe is extremely forgiving. We'll call that good. Alright, so mix this up. And you can do more wheat berries if you want. I have had it to where it's very thick with wheat berries. It kind of depends on what we have. When we make a batch of wheat berries, if we don't use all of it for one thing, we'll usually do something else that we like with it. So that's about what we have. And my noodles are already cooked. This is a 9x13. I'm going to see if I have my handy dandy. Here we go. Tongs. Alright. So, really easy. You'll need 6 cooked lasagna noodles, and you're gonna put 3 across the bottom. And I am not super particular about how they look. I just kind of get them in. My mother-in-law, she is much more particular, and her lasagna looks a lot prettier than mine. Depending on the pan that she uses, she'll cook an extra noodle to make sure that she can cut that noodle and make sure that everything has noodles. You should also watch her tin foil or aluminum foil a pan, like a cookie sheet. I asked her to one time to help out in the kitchen. I can't remember what we were making, and it was like the most beautiful crease-free perfection. And I watched her, I'm like, I don't even know how she's doing it. It's just so perfect. Alright, these are really warm. Alright, so I'm just going to overlap these ones a tiny bit. Now Ruben, our oldest, he's 10, he has a dairy intolerance. So I'm going to leave the end without any cheese when I do it. We just use shredded mozzarella. We've done mozzarella, like the sandwich squares before, in the middle layer and the shredded on top. Because that's just what sometimes that's cheaper. Alright. I am going to try to approximate about half of this. It's not uncommon for me to overdo it on one layer and underdo it on another, but it's yummy. We do not put ricotta or any kind of other cheese. It's just the mozzarella, and it is delicious, seriously. And I have lots of relatives that like to eat meat, and they've had this lasagna, and they've said it was delicious. So even if you are not a meat lover, you could totally do it with the wheat berries. And if you soak them the way that we do before we use them, and that breaks down's not the right word, but basically it disables the phytic acid so that it doesn't damage your teeth and your body is able to get all of the nutrition out of it. So we did noodles, we did sauce, we're now doing cheese. I'm going to just do a little line there so I don't forget. I got parts for Ruben. Because I think I did once. I think once I did forget and I put cheese on it and he was so bummed because he couldn't eat it. But he loves it even without the cheese. He thinks it's yummy. And it's a little sad because when we eat stuff with dairy in it, he's had dairy before, cheese and stuff, because we didn't know he had an intolerance until he was like 5, maybe 6 years old. And so he remembers what cheese tastes like and pizza and all that stuff with cheese, so it's a little bit sad, but he's a good sport about it. Hey Thatcher, could you get me a couple of toothpicks? Alright, there's that one. Can you get him? He's over here trying to get at the toothpicks for me. Thank you. Alright, so I just kind of stab in a couple of toothpicks to approximate where to stop putting the cheese when I do the next layer. So that's layer 1. Layer 2 is the exact same thing. If I can get these noodles out of the water, maybe. Sometimes they rip. Come on. Alright. Noodle. So, top layer I feel like is trickier with the noodles, just to try to get them all in where they kind of should be. There we go. And I will mention, we're just using the Barilla lasagna noodles. We do have some of the, what are they called, like the oven ready noodles. And those noodles are a lot shorter. I didn't realize that we had grabbed them and I was using them for a lasagna, and they're quite a bit shorter than these ones, so they don't really fit my pan. But I have like 2 boxes of enough that I have to use at some point. Alright, there's that one. Whew. That's warm. Okay, there we go. So the lasagna noodles are in. Just gonna do the rest of the sauce. Try to keep my toothpicks in place. But I mean, you can see how simple this is. You don't have to have a bunch of ingredients. You just need a pasta sauce that you like. You can make your own pasta sauce. That's what my mother-in-law does. She makes her own sauce with tomato paste and seasoning. So I think what I'll do is I will post our wheatberry version, and then I will post my mother-in-law's meat version, and that way you can have lots of options. But I like this because I don't have to have any special things like the ricotta or cottage cheese or anything on hand, because that's not something that I typically keep in my kitchen. But I always have pasta sauce. We always have wheat that we can cook. We quite often have noodles. The only thing that we kind of have to pay attention to is if we have the matzah. Alright, there we go. And doubling this is super easy. I've done it before when we've had people over, we've had family visiting. Alright, there we go. And I actually typically like a little more wheat berries than this, but it is okay. Alright, so there we go. There's that. I'm going to go ahead and get the cheese on. And then we are going to put this in our preheated oven. We preheat it to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Celsius, people, I don't have that figured out for you, so you're going to have to do some Googling. And I'm going to open the second bag of mozzarella because this isn't quite as much as I would like, I think. Yeah. Open this one. This is delicious. It is filling. It tastes really good. I love it with like the chunky Italian garden or any of like the garden vegetable sauces, because you get the chunks of vegetable in there and the flavor is really, really good. We've done it with, I don't know, a ton of different kinds. It's just whatever sauce you like. It doesn't have to be a specific one. Just whatever you have on hand. All right. So there's my cheese. That's it. I'm going to put it in the 350 degree oven for 30 minutes. And you can tell it's done when it kind of starts to bubble around the edges and the cheese is all melted and yummy. And I'll bring you back and show you what that looks like when it's done. And it's done. It's yummy. You can see the bubbling around the edges. The cheese is all nice and melted. It's delicious. I wanted to mention the cheese. I did have cheese left over in the second bag, but if I had put cheese on Ruben's section here, then I would have used the 2 bags. I will put the exact amounts that we use below. Once I get everything else ready for dinner and I get this plated, I will show you how it looks on a plate.